another 3 points handed to a relegation rival this week with the 1-0 defeat at Wigan. And now we find ourselves just 3 points above the drop zone as we head into the 2 matches over Easter against Preston and West Brom. We'll look ahead to those 2 later, but first, we want you to comment below if you think QPR are going to survive or whether they're going to get relegated. Let us know what you think and why. We'll see where the general opinion lies right now, with us slipping ever closer to the bottom 3. Dave, over to you for the first opinion. 7 games to go. Are we heading to League One?
I think so, yeah. I think we are. I can't see where a win's coming from. I mean, that's not what you want to hear, is it? But yeah, I think we're going. I think even with teams getting points deductions around us, I still don't think we'll finish above them. To me, it looks hopeless unless we do something, remarkable in the next few games.
Yeah, it does feel like it's going to take almost a miracle for us to survive. You look at our form, the lack of goals. I'm with you. If it was a straight yes or no, I think yes, we are going down. And I think other teams probably think we are as well now, because we're the hopeless case, aren't we, with losing every week. Let's have a look then at that defeat against Wigan. The cavalry were back, but it didn't make that much of a difference. The football was terrible. We still lacked any goal threat. We still looked a beaten team as soon as we conceded a goal. Can we have any complaints with the result, Dave?
No, not really. I mean, at least we lasted 5 minutes before we conceded this week, so I suppose we're getting a little bit better. But yeah, it was terrible. Wasn't it? I mean, you would have thought Balogun coming back in would add a bit of stability to the defence, and then he does that to give the penalty away. You think, oh, what's going on here? And I mean, Wigan weren't very good, were they? But did we have a shot or anything? That was, there was the power one at the end, but yeah, we never really liked scoring all game. I thought it was a really poor performance again against a really poor side.
Yeah, do you know what? My first thing on my notes here is that Wigan were poor, and that's what makes it frustrating. They're bottom of the table. They didn't even have to play well. We gifted them the goal and threw away points again. The only real chance was that power one, like you said, and you always get a chance at the end when you're throwing men forward. Aside from that, in normal play, we were just still struggling to create anything at all. It felt like a lower league match, and we said walking out, well, we're going to be back here next season, but in League One, it just felt like that. The fans weren't happy at full time, rightly so. Ilias Chair was the first one to come over, and he was in a bit of an argument with some fans. And of course, it was then more publicised that Leon Balogun came over and almost caused a riot. What did you make of all that?
It's just, if you're a player and you're on this sort of run, you've got to read the room a little bit, and you're going to get some stick. If the fans giving you a bit of stick, just take it, walk off. Don't come over for a row, especially Balogun. He ain't played for 5 months. He's coming over and fronting people up. Like, come on, you've just lost to the bottom of the league team. They haven't been paid for months, and you still can't beat them. You just got to just take it on the chin sometimes as a player. I just thought it was really stupid of them to get involved. You can't blame supporters. They've gone, it's a long way to get to Wigan. I wanted to go at the weekend. I'm glad I didn't now. But the journey looked an absolute nightmare to get there. And, these people have been going away for months, seeing absolutely nothing. Of course, they're going to be angry. What do they expect?
Yeah, I think the main thing was, why did he need to get so close? Just do a bit of a clap around the penalty area and then just walk off, because 90% of the team just left anyway. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's almost like he thought the fans shouldn't be booing, and he kept coming closer to let the fans know that. Because Chair, like I said, I think Chair took a bit of offence because he was one of the only few bothering to clap. So he was hearing stuff that probably wasn't really aimed at him, but he was just the only one there to really hear it.
Yeah.
But Balogun, why he needed to get involved, he could have just avoided it so easily. But that situation as a whole, it just shows how the whole season, the club, it feels like it's just falling apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just gone so horribly wrong. We say it every week, how they went from that start of the season to now is incredible, but that's where they are. And I don't know, it just seems to me that they don't seem to realise how much trouble they're in. You hear the talk after the game. It's like, oh, there's no panic in that. You should be panicking. This is bad. We haven't won, and we've won one game this calendar year. Is that right? That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, just one game. Yeah.
I mean, it's disastrous. We're in April now. You look at our running. Who are we going to beat in this running? I don't see many wins here. You just played the 3 worst teams in the league and lost to them all. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, we have got one of the toughest runnings, so that was the winnable match on paper gone out the window. I have some real issues with Ainsworth too. Now, I have to preface this by saying he's not to blame for the position that we're in, but some of the stuff we're playing right now is awful. It really was clueless again at times on Saturday. We had 2 weeks off to work on playing with 5 at the back, and the 2 big men up front is what he obviously wanted. And then he abandoned it after 45 minutes, shifted to 4 at the back. We had Dykes over on the right wing at the start of the second half, it seemed. Then once he went off, we then had 3 technical players behind a big man. How can we get any consistency and still confidence in the players if we're switching it about like that?
Yeah, it just looks a real mess. I couldn't believe he started Martin and Dykes. It's got to be one of the slowest forward lines in history, isn't it? I mean, I just don't really know what he was trying to do, and I feel for him. He's only had 6 games, so it's hard to go at him. But Critchley didn't have that many more, and we went at him.
Yeah.
So he has come into a situation where we're in trouble, but we was 7-8 points clear of the drop when he come in. So if we go down, it's not as though he come into a lost cause. It's it's part of it's going to be on him. Ultimately, I think the problems are higher up than Ainsworth, but it's same as everyone in the club. They could all be doing so much better.
Yeah, I just think it just shows how desperate we are changing it about so much. I mean, we're showing Wigan that much respect. We're changing the formation 3 or 4 times in one match. It's just never worked. So doing it, it's like how you change the manager all the time. It doesn't work. If you're going to change your formation that often in a match, it shows you're desperate. And after that, now we have to go into these 2 matches after Easter, well and truly in the dogfight. And it's a tough Easter period, isn't it? Because the team's 9th and 10th. Both on 56 points. They're both chasing the playoffs. It's not like we're already in Cyprus or wherever they all jet off to. We start on Good Friday against 10th place to Preston. It's hard to believe that we've only won 1 match, like you just said, since we played Preston in Neil Quixley's first game in December. A long few months since then. And they've only lost 2 of the last 10. And we always say it about Preston. They're one of those gritty, typical championship teams. Never give you anything. The type of team that we could probably do without facing right now.
Yeah, and they're always a difficult team, regardless of the position and that. They always give everyone a hard game. But you look at them, and for clubs like them, teams around 8th, 10th place, you think a good Easter, 2 wins over Easter, and you're in it. And you couldn't pick a better game if you're a Preston fan, could you? You think that QPR, that'll do. And now they're going to be tough opponents. To be honest, it doesn't matter. We could play like an under-12s team at the minute, and they'd be tough opponents for us. We're just so poor at them, and it doesn't matter who we play. But this isn't the easiest one.
It feels like we beat ourselves, doesn't it, as soon as we walk out on the pitch. Then West Brom on Easter Monday doesn't get any easier facing them away from home, because they looked like one of the form teams, didn't they, a few months back after Corbyn first took over. They haven't really maintained it, just sitting outside the top 6 recently, but they are hard to beat. They've only conceded 39 in 38 games. It's the best record outside the top 4. Doesn't bode well for our attack, does it? Considering we couldn't even score against Wigan, who had the worst defence last week.
Yeah, on paper, West Brom should be in the playoffs. I mean, I couldn't believe how poorly they started, really. But yeah, like I say, he hasn't really got it clicking together, and they've faded away a little bit. But like I say, it's not an easy one for us there, is it? You look at their forward line against our defence, is terrifying, really. You just hope to keep the score down, really.
Yeah, if they're in the mood, it could be 7-1 again, couldn't it? Like the other.
Yeah, God.
Do you think either West Brom or Preston will make the top 6? Like you said, they're good Easter, and they're both definitely in the mix for it.
I think it's wide open for them. You look around, like Blackburn are in the mix. Luton and Millwall are doing well at the minute. I think they've got a chance. West Brom are probably the one you'd think could make a charge for it, but it's so open, this league, isn't it? But like, apart from the Burnley, obviously, who have romped away with it, it's quite open for the playoffs again.
Yeah, it's worked out exactly as we predicted much early in the season. The only problem is we thought QPR were going to be in that mix as well, and God, we couldn't be further from it, could we?
Yeah.
That Watford win, if we look at QPR now, the Watford win a few weeks ago, I thought it was so positive, wasn't it? You said at the time that you loved that match, and it felt like we were maybe going to be over the relegation worries, but it's 3 defeats in a row since. We haven't even scored in the last 2. And I don't want to say we told you so, but we have been saying for a few weeks, haven't we, that this idea that this Cowboy was going to come back, was going to save us. It was pie in the sky, because all those players were out of form. And we put up a stat this week showing that Chair, Willett, Powell, Laird, Balogun, they've got a combined 54 appearances for QPR without winning. So it just seems to show that no matter who we play, what shape we play, what style we play, we just lack any threat, and we still lose. What would you do?
Pray, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look good, does it? I mean, it's good to have these players back, because they're better than the ones that we're playing, but they're not guaranteed to win games with them. I felt like going back to the Wigan game, it was probably our strongest team, even though Chair was on the bench. And you think, blimey, that's what we look like with our strongest team. It's not good at all. Like I say, they made a big thing about the cavalry coming back, but they do leave themselves open to embarrassment with this sort of stuff, don't they, the club, when they say this, and then they lose to the bottom team.
This cavalry thing and the hacker before it, they've been like digging themselves a big hole, haven't they, over the last few weeks? They probably should just stay quiet and let the results do whatever they need to do. It's just strange. I don't know how we can play, like I say, different styles, yet it doesn't matter if we go long or we try and do little triangles. We still don't really ever test an opposition goalkeeper, and it's been a problem for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it goes back even to last season, like the second half of last season. When we went on that bad run, we weren't having chances in games. Dykes went ages without scoring, but we didn't create anything for him in any of the games. It's just going back over 3-4 managers now. It's been like this. It's an odd situation. We've said how well we played against Watford. We didn't have a ton of chances against Watford. We just had a lot more energy and something about us that day, and something to hold on to as well. It's so important for us in these games to not concede early, obviously, but to get that first goal, give yourself something to hold on to. That's the only chance we got of getting something, really. If we concede first in these games, you might as well go home.
Yeah, I think that's become literally the key thing now for the final 7 games, hasn't it? That he's got to try and get into them. Doesn't matter if you're not playing well, but just don't concede after 5 minutes, because it's game over, like you said. If we look at a few of the players, Ethan Laird, we have to assume, is going to be touch and go with his latest bout of tightness. That means Drew could be playing, do you think? Or because Kakai has not been in the squad last week either.
Yeah, Kakai looks like he'll be out. He'll have to play Drew, I assume. There was nothing wrong with him, really, didn't it? Like, he just sat down, didn't he? And so you never know, he might come back for this one. But probably start Drew. He did okay when he come on, didn't he? He works hard. He gets up and down the line, Drew, but he's not really the answer, is he?
No, do you know what was with Laird as well? What's so odd is you think these players, it's like, what are they thinking? When he sat down, he was facing the fans. He could have at least sat himself down facing away so he couldn't see the booing and the abuse he was starting to get.
Yeah.
Just odd what they do. Eric Boonen was another one missing last week. We've said a few times, I'm personally not even his biggest fan, but it did feel like we missed him last week, his ability to move the ball forward and push himself forward. And when you compare him to Johansson at the moment, he looks a broken man. He couldn't even take a free kick past someone on Saturday. If he's fit, would you be starting Eric Boonen?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it just adds a bit of energy into the midfield, doesn't it? They were just so slow and sluggish in midfield at the weekend. Johansson's so frustrating. I thought we desperately needed him back, but now he's back. It's like, oh God, who's this fella who's coming? It says, and his set pieces are just awful. First man every time. It's like, they must work on this stuff in training. How can that's quite an easy part of the game. How can it be so bad?
Yeah, it's just so strange that it's just confidence, isn't it? I think it's just a major thing with the team. Where it's amazing that it can evaporate so quickly at QPR, but they just clearly have no confidence in their own ability anymore. Like, look at Rob Dickey, we mentioned him again on Saturday. He was lucky probably not to get a red card at one point. He kept pulling men back. So bizarre. Where do you think we'll end up formation-wise this week? Does he go with the 3 at the back or one big man up front with the little players in behind? Because, like I said, against Wigan, it was 45 minutes of each. So what was he trying at?
I think it might be similar. I think he'll probably start with the back 3 again. I think, Balogun's back. He did the mistake early on. Thought he played all right after that, but it wasn't really up against much, so it's hard to tell. But I think he'll probably go with the 3. A lot of it depends who's fit in midfield, doesn't it? If he can play an extra one in there. He doesn't really got anyone. I don't know if Amos was on the bench or not at the weekend, but he was poor the week before. He seems to like Chris Martin, so I assume he'll start up front again. I'm not a huge fan of him and Dykes up front together, but needs must, I suppose.
Yeah, we best not go into Chris Martin. He was shocking last week. Just doing the same thing for 90 minutes, planting his feet in the floor and hoping he was going to get a foul or something. It was, again, odd. Prediction time then for Easter. I think we have no option but to look at them as a whole. What do you think constitutes a happy Easter for QPR?
Oh, just any sort of points. Maybe some more points deductions for teams around us might help. if we can win that, I mean, realistically, our chances of staying up is winning the home games, isn't it? You know, so you've got to target that Preston game to win that game. It won't be easy. I don't think we'll win it, but that's the one you've got to do, because away from home we're getting nothing. I can't see us getting a point.
Yeah, well, we haven't won away, like we said, since the Preston match. The fixtures have gone all the way back round, and we still haven't won away again. I mean, West Brom in particular, I think we're going to struggle to score because, like I said, they've got a great defence. We're away from home. So we really need to get something from that Preston match, don't we? We've said it, if we can avoid conceding the first 5 minutes, just build from there, try and get into the game, try and get a little bit of confidence and see how we go. But I think even 1 point from 6 is maybe even wishful thinking at this point. And I have to say, there's a strong chance that by the time we're recording next week, QPR could be in the bottom 3. Fingers crossed, as always, that we can avoid that. Let us know your Easter predictions on our message board or in the comments. And like I said at the start, let us know if you think QPR are going to go down to League One or not. Thank you for watching. Have a happy Easter and come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.